Lectron is one of the largest industry suppliers of electric vehicle charging equipment and adapters. It has a full line of products that are all high quality and safety certified. The company is most prominently known for its NACS to CCS adapter. And in fact, just about all of the major automakers that sell electric vehicles and sell the NACS to CCS1 adapters for those vehicles have Lectron as their contract manufacturer. It doesn't say Lectron on the adapter, but Lectron makes those adapters for just about all of the major companies that sell them today. Lectron also sells charging equipment and makes some of the best portable chargers that you can get today. The company also sells a wall-mounted level 2 charger called the V-Box, and I reviewed it here in the State of Charge Garage a couple of years ago. Quite honestly, I was not impressed with the item, and I was a little disappointed that Lectron put it out. However, Lectron is coming out with their next generation of wall-mounted level 2 chargers now called the Nexus. And ahead of the launch of the Nexus, the company has invited me to go to China to visit their factory where the Nexus is currently being manufactured, to examine how the Nexus is made, look at their quality control processes, also their testing processes. They do similar tests to what I do here in the State of Charge Garage, including a water intrusion test, an extreme heat test. They do drop tests. I'm going to get a chance to take a look at all that firsthand at their factory in China. But I want to warn you, this may end up looking like a commercial for Lectron, which it is not. They're not paying me to do this. I'm genuinely interested in checking out how they make the units, what their quality control processes are, and so forth. But they are paying for my travel expenses. We got to put that out there. They're not paying me to make this video at all. Once we get there, I'm going to have the opportunity to have a tour of the factory with the company's COO, German Chan. Then I'm going to sit down with Lectron's CEO, Chris Maiwald, and talk to him about the upcoming Nexus EV charger, which Chris is very excited to talk about. I'm also going to be able to check out the adapter manufacturing lines, but this visit is really going to focus on Nexus, which shortly after the tour, Lectron is going to send me a couple of the Nexus chargers, and I'm going to do the full review of those. But that's probably going to be a couple of weeks after this video posts. With that said, let's head over to China and check out Lectron's manufacturing facility. So I've arrived in China and I'm here at one of Lectron's manufacturing facilities. I'm going to be taking a tour of where they make their new Nexus EV charger. And I'm going to be talking to German Chan, who is the COO of the company. He's going to walk me around, show me the different phases of manufacturing here, and then we'll head over to the adapter area. State of Charge is powered by Qmerit, North America's premier installer of electric vehicle charging equipment. After I've helped you decide which charger to buy, follow the link in the description of my videos and have Qmerit install it. And if you do follow that link, Qmerit will waive the $150 installation deposit. But this is an exclusive offer for State of Charge followers. So in order to get that offer, you must follow the link in the description of my videos. So German, we're at the first stop here in the factory. Tell me, what's this station doing here?
So this station is to first assemble the PCBA on the housing. And you can see we have the traceable barcode to scan the unit to check all the manufacturing details into the system. We also have an automatic screwdriver to record down all the torque, turning, or the force when you install the screws to the PCBA.
Right, so everything's torqued exactly to the right torque rating. And I noticed there's a J1772 connector attached to the end. How does that integrate with this testing process?
So you can see the fixture originally is built with J1772, and now we are building a next version of the station. That's why we need adapters to plug in to keep it power. They can go through the rest of the stations.
Right, and all of your AC charging products come through this line.
That's correct.
All right, let's move on to the next line.
Sounds good.
All right, German, there's no unit in here right now, but tell me what does this do here? So this is interesting.
So this is a optical inspection. We call it CCD station. So you capture, you take pictures from the computer automatically, and then you check whether the installation is installed properly.
So the computer's going to check
Yes.
if everything, to this point at least, because the charger's not complete yet,
Yeah.
if everything's correct. Okay, cool. We'll make sure we put one in there and we'll get a picture of it. What is it looking for? Is it like just the connections or everything on the circuit board? What does it check?
Because these are the 6 connectors that are the critical, because there's a terminal connected to the cables or to the grid cord. We need to make sure they're properly screwed, tighten it, and install it to the PCBA.
Okay, thanks. Let's move to the next station.
Thank you.
Okay, German, what are we doing here? It looks like a nearly fully assembled charger. It's even plugged in.
Yeah.
What does this station do?
So this is one of the testing stations, part of the end-of-life testing. The whole tray will move inside to connect to the power, and then you run all the installation, high-port testing as a safety test before you move to the next station.
Right, so you're testing everything in the charger to this point. It's not done yet.
Yeah.
So the point being is if there's anything wrong to this point, it doesn't continue being assembled.
Correct.
Right, so, and you run power through it and everything, right?
That's correct.
What's going, okay. All right, German, we're kind of at the end of the line now, it seems. There's 8 chargers, and they're all plugged in. They all have their NEMA 1450 plugs in, and the connectors are plugged in. What is this doing?
This is a tray with finished goods. We are ready to send it to the aging room. Then we can run aging test before we pack the shipments.
Okay, so this goes into an environmental testing room.
Yes.
All right, and it's a hot room?
It's hot room under the maximum ambient temperature, 50 C.
So it's 50 C, and how long does it stay in there?
4 hours.
And right now it's simulating that it's charging a car.
That's correct.
All of them. And this tray doesn't have power. I suppose when it goes in there, this whole cart gets plugged in?
Yep. There's a big plug at the back that will connect to the wall of the aging room.
And does somebody push this in there, or how does it get into the room?
So there will be a little robot, go down the tray and then move it to the room.
So a robot.
Yeah.
And it goes into the room. Does it automatically plug itself in?
Yes.
All right.
So no one need to enter the room.
All right. That sounds cool.
Yeah.
Today's video is sponsored by evchargingstations.com. If you drive an electric vehicle or you're planning to, this site is packed with comprehensive charger reviews, detailed DC fast charging graphs, and the latest news from all of the fast charging networks. You'll find real-world testing, easy to understand comparison, and deep dives into how different electric vehicles actually charge. Before you buy an EV charger or plan your next road trip, make sure to bookmark evchargingstations.com and make smarter charging decisions. All right, so I'm here with Chris Maiwald, founder and CEO of Lectron, in one of your manufacturing facilities. I'm sure if you follow the electric vehicle industry, you've heard of Lectron. They are the largest supplier of electric vehicle accessories and charging equipment, and you basically own the market for the NACS to CCS1 adapters. You have almost all of the large OEMs that partnered with you to make the adapters for them. But we're here to talk about you're introducing a new product. So tell us a little bit about what you're introducing to the electric vehicle world.
Yeah, we're introducing the next generation Electron charging station, the Nexus charging station, that incorporates many, many years of aftermarket learnings, OEM learnings, and is an industry-leading product in its category. We're very, very proud to launch it here with you.
Right, so this isn't your first level 2 charger. You sell, first of all, portable chargers. You're one of the leading manufacturers and sellers of portable electric vehicle charging equipment. And you did have a permanently mounted level 2 charger. It was called the V-Box that you've been selling for a few years. But you seem to believe that this isn't just the next gen. It's a few generations ahead of the V-Box. You even renamed it now. You call it the Nexus.
Yeah.
And one of the things we were talking about earlier was the fact that because you have such a great relationship with so many of the OEMs making adapters for them, you learned a lot about what they wanted and how demanding their engineering teams were. That translated into this charger.
That's
Could you
right.
maybe talk a little bit about what are some of the things that you learned and maybe you're making better or better tolerances?
On a large scale, the product we tried to build was an OEM grade product at aftermarket value. So in terms of price performance, it's the best in class product that combines OEM quality, OEM process control, OEM grade materials and engineering with an aftermarket value proposition.
I'm looking forward to getting one and testing it. Well, I'm sure we'll be doing that soon. The Nexus is going to launch not as a Wi-Fi enabled smart charger yet, but it will be available with CCS and NACS connectors. But then a few months down the road, you're going to have the second version of it, right? Can you talk a little bit about what that one's going to do?
Sure. So this will launch as the Nexus and as the Nexus Pro. That will be Wi-Fi enabled. It will come with an NACS and a J1772 coupler. And the different another level of variations is going to be NEMA 1450 and hardwired.
Right. And the first question I had for Chris about the NEMA 1450 was, does the plug have temperature sensors? Because we're having a lot of problems in North America with inferior NEMA 1450 outlets overheating. They can't handle the duty cycle of electric vehicle charging. They're melting, they're causing fires. And if the outlet isn't going to protect itself, then the plug has to do it. And so tell us a little bit about what you did for this NEMA 1450 plug.
Yeah. So for the NEMA 1450, in this particular case, we have two temp sensors to continuously monitor the temperature on the plug. If one of them should fail or if temperature rises uneven around the plug, we are there to add an additional layer of safety.
Yeah.
And this is just one of those examples of hundreds of many dozens of little things that add that extra level of thoughtfulness, extra level of protection, extra level of quality.
Yeah, I thought one of the things that was interesting when we were going over the engineering of this plug, and you talked about how you have a temperature sensor on each one of the two hot pins.
That's right. Yeah.
Not just one, because a lot of times I see when a plug fails or the outlet fails, one of the blades is what's all melted and the other side looks okay.
That's
now
right.
I'm sure the heat's going to eventually transfer, but by the time it gets to, let's say if there was only one sensor, it might be too late. You might have a fire in the house. So you even thought of adding sensors on both of the hot legs.
Yeah, and there are double temp sensors on the grid plug, double temp sensors on the coupler, and temperature sensors on the PCBA as well.
Yeah, and talking about the PCBA, you make your own.
Yes.
Which is unusual in this industry. That's a commodity that people buy, but we just walked around and saw that you're actually making your own boards here for the charger.
Yeah, so the PCBA is manufactured 3 minutes away from the final assembly. It's perfect process control. We can walk them over here. The second they're produced, they're not lying around in a warehouse and potentially degrading. They're immediately manufactured. And we're also making our own couplers here on site, which ensures that everything is to the highest quality standard, how we like it.
You're making both the NACS and the J1772 couplers in-house?
The NACS coupler is making.
The NACS coupler, okay, yeah.
You know, with once the J standard disappearing, there's not a
less
great
and less
case
people are going to be buying
That's
them
right,
for sure.
That's right.
You know, I
but
think
we've built the best NACS coupler on the market that includes all of the learnings from the adapter side. So a little bit of insight there. UL2252 that regulates the adapters has extremely high drop test, 120 or 160 drops out of 1 meter over 1 meter, compared to the UL2251 standard that has a handful of drops, right? We've built the coupler according to the more demanding standard, and we're super proud of it.
Yeah, and in addition to that, we just walked through the validation testing of the charger, and you do a nice heat test, you do cold weather testing, drop testing, vibration testing, which was very interesting. I noticed they had it strapped to the top of this big unit that vibrates. Talk a little bit about the need for quality control. That's one of the things I wanted to see here when I came, because quite honestly, there's a tremendous amount of electric vehicle charging equipment available. Go to Amazon and just click electric car charger or EVSE. I mean, there's dozens and dozens of companies, and to be honest with you, many of them cost less than your products. But I highly doubt that they go through the processes that you go through here. If you watch my channel, I continuously remind people, this isn't a race to the bottom. Don't go to Amazon and click on lowest price. You're going to get junk. You want to have a product made by a company that stands behind the product and does validation testing. If there's any problem, they're going to be there. Lectron's that type of company. which is why I've covered you so much. I think, on State of Charge and EV charging stations.com. You're one of my preferred suppliers of electric vehicle charging equipment. Talk a little bit about the lengths you go to make sure products leave here that are safe and will last a long time.
Yeah, quality starts at the design stage, right? So we follow automotive standards with design failure mode analysis. So at the design stage, a big team is involved in identifying potential design errors and making sure that they don't lead to a subpar quality product. The next stage is process failure mode analysis, right? So once the PCBAs are made or when the charging stations get assembled, a different team of engineers looks at what can go wrong on the production line and takes preventative measures so that we make a best-in-class product. Then there is end-of-line testing. Every charger that gets manufactured gets tested for its IP rating, electrical testing, gets aged in an aging chamber for 4 hours. So quality starts at the design stage. It goes through design validation, product validation, failure analysis, and then end-of-line testing. There's a lot of stuff involved there.
Absolutely. Okay, let's briefly talk about your adapters, because in my opinion, that's what put you guys on the map. It's not that you don't have great portable charging equipment. You do. I can't wait to try the Nexus. But the adapters, I think, made Lectron a household name because of the fact that they're high quality adapters and they're safety certified. I keep mentioning Amazon though. You go to Amazon, you click on NACS adapters. I can't believe how many of them are out there now in such a short period of time. None of them are actually safety certified. Your whole line of adapters is safety certified. Talk a little bit about the different adapters that you could get from Lectron.
Yeah, so look, we support all customers across the NACS transition. That means both ways. You mentioned our Next to CCS adapters that supports non-Tesla vehicles to get access to the Tesla supercharger network. Then there is the Next to J1772 adapter. That's the AC version of that particular adapter. And we also support native NACS vehicles, Tesla and now other brands that have their own NACS port with CCS to NACS and J1772 to NACS adapters. And all of them are UL 2252 certified and go through the same process that I've just described to ensure that quality is number one.
Yeah, absolutely. And we actually got to see the process. Unfortunately, we couldn't do a lot of recording because, as I mentioned earlier, Chris does have a lot of partners that he makes products for, and the partners don't necessarily like when their supplier shows who's making it. So, but we did capture a lot in here where you're making the chargers, and it was impressive. I've been to a few factories where they make charging equipment, and what you have going on here, it's extremely thorough, and I'm leaving pretty much impressed.
That's awesome. That means a lot coming from you, because you're a very critical man. You test stuff yourself very thoroughly, so that's high praise. Thank you.
Yeah, I couldn't help but think when we saw some of the testing you had, like the water pressure test and the drop test and the extreme heat test, that it wasn't maybe, inspired by some of my earlier videos.
Heavily inspired. Heavily inspired by you and UL and all of our OEM partners.
I'm just kidding, obviously. I'm sure you were doing
good
that.
Good artists copy, great artists steal. And we get inspired by really, really competent folks.
Yeah, well, I was totally geeking out at watching your processes of validation and everything. And, it's really important. I know I'm kind of joking about it, but I talk about this in a lot of my videos. The charging equipment, it's super important that it's high quality. A lot of current gets passed through the adapters, the chargers themselves, extension cables, whatever. And unfortunately, there's a lot of companies out there making stuff that's substandard that doesn't do this, that has contract manufacturers that they don't have a good relationship with, that go to the lowest bidder. It's a race to the bottom to sell the cheapest stuff just so they're $10 less than their competitor. And unfortunately, people go for that, and not with charging equipment. If you want to buy a cheap toaster or something, have at it. But too much current passes through your charging equipment. You can't fool around. You want to go with a trusted brand, and that's why I accepted this invitation to do this factory tour, because I trust Lectron, and their products are, very high quality.
That's awesome. Thank
Chris,
you.
Thank you very much. Anything you want to say? Any parting words to the State of Charge community?
Thanks for coming. You've always been tough but fair, with the stuff previously, and I think we as a manufacturer and the customers and your viewers really appreciate the feedback. So thank you for coming, Tom.
Very good. And if you want to purchase any Lectron products, you can go right to the Lectron website. There's also a single click-through from my website, evchargingstations.com. It's on my trusted supplier click-through, and you could order any of Lectron's products right from there if you'd like to. And if this is your first time here at State of Charge, please hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any upcoming electric vehicle news and reviews. And as always, thanks for watching.